Welcome to the Mastering the Game of Life podcast. In this podcast, there'll be insights around 3 key areas to mastering the game of life: purpose, prosperity, philanthropy. Your host, Paul Lowe, the third sector mentor, is the founder of Hearts Global CIC, which along with many other of his charitable commitments has been responsible for positively impacting thousands of people's lives, particularly young people from disadvantaged communities. Author of Mastering the Game of Life, From Pain to Purpose, and Speaking from Our Hearts books. Introducing your host, Paul Lowe.
Welcome, listeners, to this Mastering Life podcast, where I'm honoured to be having Trainer John with me, and Trainer John's going to be giving insights and sharing his experience around pre-celebrations. John, so very warm welcome.
Hello there, Paul.
Put into context, pre-celebrations for us.
Pre-celebration, a family event, a time of year, anything like that, with the build up to it. Everyone seems to what they do. We've all been there before. A lead up to a celebration. Your thoughts are preoccupied with parties and presents, whether it's weddings or, anything else. It's easy for your training goals to take a back seat. However, if you're serious about your training, this period can be a great opportunity to make some really good gains. For most people, all they want to do over a pre-period of celebration, is get ready and relax and spend some quality time with their families. Quite rightly so. So this may result in minimal training being performed over this time. With this in mind, lots of people will take their eyes off what they're doing, their goals, their short-term goals, and prematurely will coast into this period, not training too hard, when actually they should be doing the complete opposite. Okay? And at this time of the year, with increased focus, an upcoming change in a routine, it sometimes is an excuse for just being lazy. Oh, I'll not train this week, I've got that coming up, this, that and the other. And what happens is we are creatures of habit. And before you know it, a change in routine can play havoc with your training schedules. So with pre-planning, you can avoid it,
So just to be clear, John, what we're talking about here in any pre-celebration scenario, as you say, I don't know, Christmas or a wedding or a birthday, an anniversary, a holiday, whatever. We're talking about this very specifically in a health context, and you're talking about it in even more specifically in a physical training.
Yes.
Does diet come into that as well?
Diet does come into it, and people also want to go, they'll sort of say, right, it's a build up for, I'm going to go on a diet. I'm going to crash diet, I'm going to cut this out, I'm going to cut that out, when actually that can actually cause more harm.
Okay.
More harm to you, because what happens is, you start dieting. I'm not a fan of the word diet anyway, as you know, Paul. And what happens is when you do start dieting, you're cutting things out from your food, what your body requires. Your metabolic rate slows down. Then what happens is your body starts panicking and starts storing fat. So at the end of the celebration, when you go back to normal, you start putting weight on very easy because your metabolic rate's really slow.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I'd say some advantages for pushing yourself now. Increase calories. For the most, the month before, they say 4 weeks before a celebration or during a celebration, it's going to be a high calorie month. Okay? So you can either take advantage of these additional calories by following an intense training plan, which we're recommending keeping going and working hard, or you can store the extra calories as fat, which then you will need to lose after the celebration.
Okay.
So, it's best to keep the training going and training hard. So an average with a celebration, it's usually about 4 weeks where your training takes a back seat. It could be Easter, like you said, it could be Christmas, it could be a pre-wedding, So if you reduce your intensity now, you're thinking, well, what's the point? I've got a celebration coming up. I'm going to eat, I'm going to drink, whatever you want to do. So then it can be over 4 weeks of really poor training. So I'll say to you, Paul, would you randomly just take March off and not train?
Yeah.
No, you wouldn't. So don't take the pre-celebration period off either, say whether it's Christmas or Easter. So what it'll do, it'll just leave you lagging behind your training when you get back to it.
So what if I'm somebody that doesn't actually do any training, and obviously this celebration, whatever it may be, is imminent, and I know I'm going to be eating and drinking a lot more. How do I then counter that? Because I'm not if you like, if I'm not a physical person?
If you're not a physical person, I would just say carry on eating as normal and eating, but make sure you're eating clean and things like that. Don't, I say it's the pre-build-up. The important time for those people that don't train or anything will be over the period itself.
Right.
Which obviously we'll talk about another time.
Yeah.
Say not everybody hits the gyms, not everybody's gym bunnies, but there's always a way around putting that weight on over the period.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and as I said, so eat clean, eat well, but intensify your training. If you are a gym bunny, as we say, just intensify it. So also it's a matter of you won't feel as guilty taking the time off over the period. You'll actually be due a rest because you've worked so hard. Okay,
so I want to focus, John, more if I can around, dare I say, non-gym people.
Yes.
So, as I say, there's this imminent celebration event, whatever that may be. And as I say, I know I'm going to indulge more. So, and I'm not a regular exercise taker. So am I being too simplistic to say, well, if I do want, for the sake of my health, to keep my weight down or whatever, then have I got to start taking brisk walks or, something?
Well, I would definitely recommend brisk walks, going through, doing fresh air, things like that. But just be mindful of what you're eating.
Right.
Because, as I said, you are going to overindulge at a period of celebration. So beforehand, just be a bit stricter with your food, your intake. Have a look at what you're eating, Don't go for those fish and chips and things like that,
Yeah, okay. Brilliant. Okay, well, thank you very much for that, John. Some useful insights there. So to you, listeners, thank you for listening as well. And until the next time, take care and be healthy.
Thanks for listening to the Mastering the Game of Life podcast. Drop a line to paul@paullowehearts.com with any thoughts or questions you may have, and he'll be more than happy to respond. Alternatively, check out Paul's website at paullowehearts.com or any of his social media feeds under the same name. Remember, mastering life starts by embracing our hearts.